welcome back. You're listening to Get Real with Bob and Stacy. Joining us for our Leaders and Legends segment. Our guest for the segment is Shama Hyder, author of the new book, Momentum. Welcome to the show, Shama.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
So I want to give everybody some background about Shama. Shama is the founder and CEO of the award-winning agency, the Marketing Zen Group. I love that name, by the way. Thank you. An integrated web marketing and digital PR firm. She's also a highly acclaimed international keynote speaker and a regular media correspondent, often featured across all major media channels, including MSNBC, Fox Business, Forbes, and the Wall Street Journal. She's the best-selling author of The Zen of Social Media Marketing, right now in its 4th edition, and her newest book, Momentum, How to Propel Your Marketing and Transform Your Brand in the Digital Age. So, Shama, why is digital marketing so critical to the success of small businesses?
So very simply put, it's because that's where your customers are. That's where your prospects are. For small businesses, and of course the lifeblood is customers, and that's where they're going to research the brand. That's where they're going to compare it to competitors. You know, the decision is so often made online even before anything happens offline.
Gotcha. So, Shama, when did the new age of digital marketing come to be? So when did the paradigm of marketing shift from old to new?
You know, it's funny. It's really been an evolution. But I think in the last 2-3 years, we've seen a huge shift from people going to wanting information. And, of course, that's always there. But really feeling that information overload, right, in terms of feeling overwhelmed by all the options out there, by just so many ways to deliver your content, how as consumers we're so, demanding. And so the last 2-3 years have really, really signaled a shift.
So in your book, Momentum, you talk about all kinds of different digital strategies. I'm going to ask you just to go through some of the specific ones. First of all, you talk about analytics. First of all, what type of analytics are you talking about? And then what is agility through analytics? How does agile analytics different in larger companies versus smaller companies?
The idea is really to be able to look at numbers and make decisions based on the data that's available to you, regardless of the size of the company you are, right? And this means that no organization, no matter how small or big, really gets to have sacred cows. And what I mean by that is, the days of subjective, well, I think we'll go with green because I like it. Or, I think this just makes more sense, doesn't have a place so much anymore as does looking at the numbers, looking at the data and seeing, what is this telling me? What is this telling us about our business? And so, for example, small businesses, especially with Google Analytics. Google Analytics are free. They give you a lot of information about your website. Almost every site has that installed. If not, it's very quick to do with just a few lines of code that someone can embed. And 2 things that it tells you right off the bat. 1, your bounce rate, which tells you how many people are leaving your website right away. And if that number is high, it's 60, 70%, and that's not sadly that rare, that means 60 to 70% of your potential traffic is leaving. The website's not giving them what they want, or they're not the traffic that you're really looking for. Those aren't your prospects. So numbers like this tell you so much about what you need to do about your business and how you can make better, smarter decisions when it comes to your marketing.
So something like that with bounce rate. So people are coming to the website, 70% are leaving. How the heck do you figure out why they're leaving?
You can look at it 2 ways, right? You can look at, well, on your website, clearly it's not converting well, which means that either the information isn't what they're looking for, or those are not the people that you're looking for.
Right.
So the search terms you may be sending traffic for, or where you're advertising, maybe they're looking at the site, but they're not potential buyers. So you want to look at both those variables.
Okay. You also talk about in your book, as a digital strategy, customer focus. So what is the difference between your definition of customer focus and the old saying that we all have heard, the customer is always right?
Yeah, this is really different. This isn't about so much about who's right or the customer, comes first. I mean, all these are sort of the tenets of traditional business practices. But this is much more about branding and marketing. So it used to be all about, what does your brand say about your business, right? That people brand, like you think about the Mad Men era and people sitting in a room and thinking about, like, what do we want our brand to say? You know, it's all about what the company wants to project. But now the question really needs to be, what is doing business with us allow our customer to say about their personal brand? And that's a huge mindset shift. It's no longer thinking about your company brand, but what is doing business with you allow your customers to say about themselves?
Gotcha. So the next question I have for you has to do with digital versus traditional marketing. What does the process of integrating digital and traditional marketing effort look like? And where your book is so focused on digital marketing, is it possible to run a business just on digital marketing, or do you think you need both?
You know, what you really need to look at is the customer journey, because the digital traditional thing, businesses do that. But consumers, we think of ourselves as consumers, we don't really do that. We look for information however we find it. You know, it's a very integrated experience as to how someone goes from learning about a product, expressing a need, and then buying, right?
Mm-hmm.
But businesses still think it's got to be digital or traditional or either or, and it's not. It's about mapping out your customer journey. And if what you sell, the customer journey, is totally relegated, right, to digital, then that's great. That's what you stick to. And if it's totally traditional, which I haven't seen in a very, very long time, then you look at that. So it's not about, you know, which model you give preference to. It's what does your customer journey look like, and at which points can you really integrate the digital with the traditional?
Okay. Next up, what about content creation? Bob runs a massive mortgage company. I run a real estate company, and no matter who you talk to in sales, everybody says, well, I want to be the go-to source in the industry for real estate or mortgage information. What does that look like, and how do you build it?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And it's, you know, so content curation is all about finding the best filters and giving your audience the best information, whether it's in mortgage, whether it's in real estate. For example, I've been keynoting at real estate conferences for 7 years now. And it's so funny because the fear always is, you know, the Zillows and the Redfins and technology going to replace the realtors. But the truth is that 90% of people prefer to work with an agent, even when, of course, all this technology technically, right, allows you to do much of this yourself. But people still prefer the individual, the human, and it's because the humans provide that wisdom that you can't just get from plain data. You need that context. Someone may be able to say, oh, yeah, you know, look at that. You might be able to look online and look at a house and say, okay, it's got 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. That's, you know, that's good. But it's the agent that tells you, hey, you know what, they're building a park out here for your, you know, for kids in the next 2 years. That's going to increase property values. This would be a good buy because the school district in this area, for example, is XYZ. This is the kind of information that customers want, right? So no matter what your business, you don't have to create all the content on your own. How can you curate that content? How can you bring the best of? And as long as you're providing value for your audience, for your customers, that's all that really matters.
This is such an interesting topic, and I talk a lot about this with my real estate agents because nothing drives me crazier than seeing like these, and a lot of them go out and buy like content that's written for them so that you go on 20 different real estate agent websites and all 20 of them have the same blog content, and it's the most boring, terrible content about like how to plant a garden and what's the best color front door. And I'm like, wow, I wonder if customers really read that, because I can't imagine ever reading one of those articles. Right. And I try to say to the agents, like, I don't think whatever you're paying for that, hopefully it's not a lot. I don't think you're generating traffic because, number one, it's the same content on all of the different real estate agent websites, and it's not interesting. So I always say, like, go out and do reviews of like the local restaurants, or we have holidays coming up. People want to know where are the best fireworks in town. Like, that's the stuff that people actually go to your website to read, or like you said, like school reporting information, but they don't want their real estate agent who knows zero about gardening giving them like the best gardening tips.
That's best case scenario. Best case scenario, it's just not that useful. Worst case scenario, they can actually get penalized by Google and search engines because of duplicate content. So if you have the same content that you take off someone else's site and you're changing up a few things, you could actually get penalized for that, because Google also wants to serve their customers' best interests, which for them is fresh content. So by doing things like that, by really understanding and saying, what is our customer's personal brand look like? How do I tie into that? How do I make what I'm offering relevant and contextual? And what you said is perfect. It's like, okay, July 4th, where are the best fireworks, right? School season, which are the best schools in the neighborhood? What are some hidden gems? How can you spot a good buy in a very popular neighborhood? These are the sorts of things that people want to know.
Right. And I always say to the agents, if you want to know what consumers want to know, like, go to the Zillow site. Zillow has it figured out. Like, they have exciting articles about the most expensive homes and get an inside picture of the kitchen of the most expensive
Everybody
home.
wants to know
like
that.
That's kind of interesting stuff. So
you should leverage your biggest competitors always, because they're putting money towards research. They're doing all this stuff. I mean, that's just great free data for you to learn from. So why wouldn't you do that?
Absolutely. You talk in your book about cross-pollination. First of all, what is it, and what sort of success can a company see when they begin to cross-pollinate sections of their business with another?
Sure. So cross-pollination is really this idea where you look outside your silos to who you do business with, right? And so what that means is you don't just look at your employees as employees, you look at them as your first line of defense when it comes to social media or when you're sharing company news. You start looking at vendors as potential partners. You look very differently at your business model. And, going back to the real estate example, as a realtor, who can you team up with that makes a lot of sense? Maybe it's a interior decorator. Maybe, who is it that provides a complementary service to what you offer, where that just makes natural sense? Moving companies, for example. And a lot of times people think one way, like, oh, okay, moving company comes after, you buy the house or sell the house. But so many times it also comes because someone is doing that before, and what's the next step? Right? Or they may be in transition, and so they may always think like, oh, no, that moving company, that's a vendor for us. We refer business to them, but could they also be referring business to you?
Yes. So I've built my real estate business kind of on cross-pollination. I've done like 200 plus interviews of local CEOs, celebrities, athletes about how they've built their businesses. And what's interesting about it is, so I blog about, I've written literally, if anybody ever put my name in, they'll find hundreds of articles with people I've interviewed. But many of those people have ended up being huge customers of the real estate company.
Yeah, that's a great example, because that's two things that you're doing, right? Two principles that you're actually utilizing there. You're cross-pollinating, which you're leveraging people in the community and looking outside the box, but you're also curating content.
Yes.
You're not sitting there and saying, these are my best business tips. You're thinking about, who can I, bring content from? Who can I share with my audience where it's a win-win? They get to share something that's useful, that they get to tell their story, the customers find it valuable. And so these are sort of the principles that I talk about in Momentum that you can apply to grow your business, just like you've been doing.
That's awesome. So what are the easiest and hardest ways to get more out of the marketing that we're already doing?
There's always low-hanging fruit. If you mentioned, for example, there's articles you've written, or, there's so many blogs that people have and they create content for. But rarely do they ever go, for example, in analytics and say, hey, what's driving the most traffic? And just go in and update that. It sounds so simple, but it's a great little tip and trick where, you can say, this post gets so much traffic. I wrote this 2 years ago. Great. Go back and update that post. It's less time than creating a brand new one, and you already know it's doing well. So low-hanging fruit is all about amplifying what's already working.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your agency, the Marketing Zen Group. What are you guys doing embracing the new age of marketing?
Yeah, it's really funny. We sort of think ourselves as modern-day kingmakers in the sense that we work with successful companies who want to be recognized as industry thought leaders. I mean, they're successful, but they just really want to dominate their industry. They want to be household name. They want to be the go-to in their field. They want media flocking to them. And of course, all the good stuff that comes with it, customer, clients, visibility, really the end goal for them is that they want to be market leaders. And we do that through digital marketing. We do that through search engine domination, through social media presence, to making sure they have a really cultivated good brand, through digital PR, and so forth. But the end goal is always to help the businesses we work with to take over their industries.
Wow, sounds awesome. So what is the best way for our listeners to reach out and get in touch with you?
The best way to do it is go check us out at marketingzen.com. Tons of great information there, over 500 different articles, white papers, webinars, and so forth.
Wow. And what about the book? Where's the best place? And you have 2 books. So what's the best place for anybody that wants to just kind of learn new ways to build their business? Where can they find your books?
Momentum and the Zen of Social Media Marketing. Both the books are available at bookstores nationwide, and of course Amazon and Barnes & Noble and online book retail carriers. So yeah, and they're both available on audio too. So if that's your preferred format, go for it.
Excellent.
Wow, awesome stuff. So can't wait to build our own. I know Bob and I got a ton out of today's program on learning through analytics, customer focus, integration, and curating content. So now we just need to go cross-pollinate our stuff.
That's the plan.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being on the show, Shama. That's going to do it for this edition of Get Real with Bob and Stacy. Tune in again next weekend for more.